Or used to have
anyway.
I know.
people heckling. We had that.
It's a nice campus though, isn't it?
Well, I was mistaken, we played it at Loveland, I wasn't at.
Oh, so, Woolly Hills came over there, okay.
You're right.
I thought it was going there, but
Nope.
We're on,
We're on at both places.
so stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome. Looks like we have no guests here. We may have some folks on with us in Zoom. And I noted in that we didn't have minutes, and so we can move right on to bills.
The one for Runback Day, well, Cynthia license, that stayed the same as last year. $1,000.
Okay. And I think you sent us the paperwork that they were changing their name or.
Yeah, there is a, I'm not sure if. Sorry. Okay. I forgot. Really, we're not arguing. No. Sorry. I'm not sure if they'll change the name of their company, but there was another company had bought shares.
Right.
So I'm not sure, they might stay Runback, but, the ownership would be.
Yeah, I noticed they sent probably everybody a letter talking about cash inflow and so forth.
Yeah, that they, have more money invested in.
Well, let's hope that means darker ovals.
Yes.
Well, let's hope. Gosh darn, I can't get.
Yeah. I saw we'll be looking at those ballots in a minute. I saw how dark those ovals were. Then I was reminded that's
That's not our
that's
ballot, it's the sample. Yeah.
So, such is life.
Yeah.
Okay, we have our court reporter, all right, Apex. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the bill?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passes. I guess the one thing we'd be looking at here, at least the very first one, that will come out of that money we got from to run the election.
The,
mileage.
to
yeah, for
polling
Karen, yeah,
locations.
that one was coming out of the.
And then
Karen
there's
money.
some others, okay, right. Maybe the same with the extension cords.
That one I didn't do out of that, although we could change it to come out of.
Well, I'm just wondering, you know, if it was specific to that or something else. Correspondence, obviously the letter doesn't seem to impact us at this point.
Right, it doesn't seem,
From
that
Runback,
there's
you
gonna be
mean?
any changes.
Yeah.
Since they had the,
We should always worry that
a new partner. I guess.
increase in pay. Although we just paid for a year, right? Is that what we just approved?
Yeah, that's what we just approved for
Okay.
the.
So at least we won't get an increase for a year.
Right, and that state was the same as last year, so it was 1,000, we
Oh,
paid
that's
for the
good.
past year too, so.
Then we have our directives.
Yeah, we received, a new directive, for security, and that, a lot of it, is just to continue doing things we're already currently doing. I talked to our, Joseph, that's our IT person for the county.
Yes.
And so he's up on it, they are having a webinar coming up. He's required to take it because he's our technical point of contact. And then it's encouraged for directors and deputy directors to take it. So I signed up for it for next week, for a day.
Right.
But if any of you would be interested in taking it, I can send you the link and you could do it as well, but you're not required to.
Well, why don't you send is it one of those things we get credit for?
Yeah, you would get credit
You
for
didn't
it.
get credit.
And I think it says it's supposed to be an hour and a half. So,
Right.
because the time I signed up for was from 1 to 2:30, so. I think it's next Wednesday, the one I signed up for.
So this is gonna be a bit of a, sort of a rehash or repeat with regard to some of the security stuff that the board members have taken.
Right, and, because yearly we have to take the course, the
Cybersecurity.
cybersecurity course.
Haven't gotten, have we
We'll
gotten
continue.
another link for that, or is it what we're supposed to just
No,
do?
we got one for this year, so I can send you it if you,
I wonder, yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
I
I've
can't remember if
done
I took it or not.
I'll look and see, because they send me an email
Telling
like
you
every
who's-
few weeks or
who's
something.
done it.
I think I took it, but check, you'll let us know.
So I'll
I think
check
I did
for-
too, but I'm
yeah,
not sure.
I haven't done it yet, I think, Emily has already in the office too, but,
Yeah, I printed a certificate. And then they send you an email within your BOE,
Oh,
et cetera, that you completed it. Or something along that. At least I stumbled on that the other day when I was going through emails.
and then the other directive we had is, our ballots, voting schedule and deadlines for this November election coming up. And that's the singles, of the ballot came with that directive on what order and the wording.
oh, so this is how it has to
supposed
be.
use. Yeah,
And it's, I was gonna say, I don't think there's anything extraordinary here.
I don't think there was any changes really from previous.
So for your villages, do we do it by alphabetical? Because
Yeah, because
we have
it
more
would
than
just
one
go
village.
by, what precincts, there would just be one village on the ballot,
Oh, really?
so, because each one would have just their own,
Oh, I see,
Yeah.
I got it, because you do it to the, yeah.
yeah.
I don't have a clerk of any court.
And then for the voting schedule, I gave you a copy in your packet of the hours will be open for voting. And then also, we're open the weekend after the election for the cure period. So they did change that slightly because of Veterans Day. So we don't have to be open on a Saturday after the election now. We have to be open on the Monday after. So we have to be open the Friday before and the Monday after.
But isn't that, did you say that's Veterans Day weekend?
Yeah, so normally we get that, a day off for that from the county,
Right,
but we have to be open because the state is requiring us to be open.
that'll always be true, won't
Usually, yeah,
Just kind of depends on
since we have
what
a
day,
secure period,
it?
yeah.
that Tuesday. the
Yeah,
election
I mean,
Tuesday
unless
falls.
maybe you gotta catch a Monday or a Tuesday's, the first, or, a low
Yeah,
number or
depending
something.
on, yeah.
So how does that work? Is that a double pay or double flex time or
I'd have to check and see, or at least time and a half.
time and a
Yeah,
half
at
for
least
sure?
that, so.
Yeah. All right. Well, it is
You
what
work
it is.
Monday, but you won't work Saturday.
Right,
Right.
What would you have got, if you had worked Saturday, what would it have been? Time and a half?
yeah, would have been as,
So you're
Probably
just
the same.
switching one for one, yeah, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
and then our Yule Call the day, is the 22nd, when we'll mail out ballots to our military and overseas.
Right, so we're gonna be taking care of that today as far as ordering, et cetera, okay.
And we haven't got our,
I was gonna ask,
any ballots yet from RBM. They're working on them, but we haven't received anything yet, so.
do they give you any kind of timetable knowing that we're meeting?
I meant to check with them and.
And the state issues are going to be the same throughout. And we've had repeated elections of this sort with the township trustee, mayoral, et cetera. So it's not, I mean, it would seem to me it's just a plug-in name. Or
So I sent
are
a
we,
message there.
or are they still waiting for us to take action
No, they haven't.
on write-ins?
No, they weren't waiting on any of that.
Okay,
Yeah, the writing doesn't go in, name doesn't go in.
No, but they have to program it to have them.
They have to
line.
have it right.
Yeah,
Right.
right line for it.
all right. And nothing extraordinary about early voting?
No, it's pretty much just the
Pretty
same.
much.
It's the same hours that we did for August.
Right.
So, when we are working on, I didn't have it on the agenda there, but you've had a previous directive about it. There's the NCUA process, we're receiving back all of those notices now that we sent out. Since the election's over now, we can do those, so we're receiving all of those in. And then, Friday, there's for anybody that hasn't, that hadn't responded, there's a file we have to make to the state so that people can be canceled if they
Right.
don't respond to things, so.
Right. And again, that's those people that simply have popped up that haven't voted for some specific length of time.
Right,
And then they're notified to try to cure or fix that.
right, to try to fix it.
And then we send off the list.
Yep.
And then when they come to the poll, usually that's when they learn.
Right.
Apparently. Okay, all right. All right, so, so looks like our next item of business is to approve a ballot order. And I thought,
It's a state issue.
Oh, that's what that is?
Yeah. And I included on there, just because we had this made up from before of some of the older elections, that you could see how many people voted and the turnout in each location. And then on the far right is what I put in that we should order for this time. Which what our manual said for ordering ballots was, we're supposed to go to the last like election, which would have been in 21. And of the total people that voted in each precinct, you order 105%. If you're a strictly paper, you'd order 105%, or not 100, just 5% more than that total. So I made a column with what that total would be. So like for Belpre 1A, the number of people that voted in 21 was 233. So 5% more is 245. And then what we have been doing is then timesing that by 30% and ordering that many paper ballots.
Have we ever run out of paper ballots?
Out at Reno, we did one time because
Oh, we
somebody
had
was
that one
pushing the
gal
paper
that was
ballot.
pushing,
Yeah.
right. But other than that-
otherwise, no, we haven't. And so then we have to order in increments of 25s. When we order from the vendor, so that's, so 70, the 30% works out.
We're kind of
70,
rounding
right?
either up or down depending on how close
Depending
it
on how-
is.
Yeah,
4B, nobody?
well, that's because we don't have 4B
Oh,
anymore.
why is it in there?
Because there was still from 2009 and 2011.
Oh, 'cause we used to
there was
have,
still
I see,
around
I got you.
yeah.
Okay.
We could probably about drop that off now, I would think, but there's a couple other ones like that.
I was
too
gonna
that we
say,
don't have
you got
anymore.
down to Adams.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
because we don't have the 17 anymore, but.
All right, I move to approve the order as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? I guess I have one, I'm just curious. Number 16, Lowell Adams totals.
Yeah, the total, had it there for the registered voters and for the turnout.
Oh, I see, you put the 50 up above.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
I got
I
it's
see.
in
Right.
each of the two up above
I
it.
got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
because if I added in the total there, it would add that into the columns and
Right.
make it higher than what it
Yeah,
should be.
should be, okay. All right,
Same
any
with
further discussion?
Yeah, the same with Aurelius and Rockland,
Right.
It's
Each
the
one
ones
of
that have a
those
split.
that were up, yeah.
yeah, and even have a split.
Oh, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passes. All right,
And then
declaration of intent.
we did have a few of those, and then- there was one person that had filed a declaration of intent, Mark Weil, for Marietta City Board of Education, and then he came in and withdrew. So that's, it was just so you can see it,
I guess we won't approve it.
right? Then we also had, John Lehman, filed for Marietta City Board of Education for a write-in.
Okay.
So we would have had 3 people then running for the Marietta City, but now it's just 2 since Mark Weil withdrew.
As the write-in,
Yeah, well, 2 is a write-in and then one.
one, Russ
Yeah,
got a petition.
petition. And then we had a write-in for Marietta City Mayor for Ari Gold / David Lopez. And then that was all of them. And those all did come in by the deadline.
How many does that make for the Marietta Board of Education?
That'll just be 2 people writing
2
now.
write-ins and
One-
1 on the ballot.
And how many elected? 2?
Yeah,
Oh, there are 2?
but there's 2 positions open, yeah.
And there's only one person?
There's 1 person as a write-in and then 1 person as not a write-in, as a regular candidate.
Oh, so these 2 write-ins are for the other position because nobody filed for it,
No, the 1 withdrew, the write-in,
right?
so there's just the 1 write-in.
So 1 write-in and,
There are 2 candidates running for 2 spots.
Oh,
One's
yeah.
a write-in, one's on the ballot.
Right,
So I'd say that
So there's
the
only one
write-in
spot up.
candidate votes for himself.
he
right.
wins.
Then I'm
Yeah.
guessing, well, those 2 people will be elected.
Yep,
Because they're, frankly, at that point, it's an unopposed
Right.
election.
right.
So there's only one write-in for one position? Cause there's no other
Yeah.
person for that, okay.
Yeah,
And that's what John Lehman signed up
Mhm.
for? Oh, okay.
yeah. Hopefully I'll hear back from Mike while we're here, because Mike Doyle with RBM's doing our coding this time, so hopefully I'll hear back from him while we're still in the meeting.
So I think the first order of business would, I think we should accept this withdrawal.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept the withdrawal of candidate, who was it?
Mark Weil,
Mark, wow.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passes. Then we have Rudolph John Lehman running for a write-in candidate for the Board of Elections for the city of Marietta,
For Board of Education.
or Board of Education. It's the only board I recognize, I'm sorry. Do I have a motion to accept his?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. And the motion, I need a motion to accept the declaration of intent to be a write-in candidate by Ari Gold, also known as David Labez, for the City of Marietta mayoral race.
Nobody-
So moved.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. This address, of course, has been the subject of some protest involving that particular candidate's wife.
Yes.
Do we know whether, have we heard about any potential protests that might come in upon our acceptance of this?
I have not heard of anything.
I have not either.
All right. All right,
I think next we have the audit.
audit of our special election.
And I didn't make, this is the report that prints out after we finish the audit.
So we can
It was-
pass that along.
Yeah, it was like 40 pages, so I didn't want to copy it. But everything matched exactly. Me and Melissa did the audit.
So we have Mrs. Ritter to thank for an excellent selection.
Yes, we do. And what we do is we compare on the screen, it shows the paper ballot on the left and on the right, what the machine, read. And so we compared every single one of those and accept them, and then that's what it shows in the report. And
So
everything.
no discrepancy.
Nope, none at all on it, all the ones that we had audited. And then, so you have a copy in your packet of what we have to make up from this, that the state provides us in the workbook. And then we'll just need to sign one copy of that, and then I'll send it in. So you'll sign this one.
Sure.
And it shows in there, on the front page, is how many total votes we had, that we were doing it by precinct, the date, it did ask us for how much the cost was, so we just estimated like $2 for the copies of that report. Was the only thing that we, that it cost us.
Right, and then the second page is
Yeah, what-
those that were
Yeah, what
selected.
precincts and how many ballots. And then it asks you some questions on how the ballots were returned back to us,
Right.
if they were sealed properly. And then, so you answer those questions, and then you put in the number of yeses and nos. And then everything matches up.
I'm gonna go ahead and put that on top just to make it easier to
Yeah, easier to sign.
sign.
So we didn't have to pull in any new people to do this audit,
You
right?
know, luckily, it only took me and Melissa, with one thing on the ballot, it was easy to see. You didn't have to search for a candidate's name among the list, so it didn't take us very long at all. I was afraid it was gonna take like a whole day or something, but it didn't take us very long at all to do it, so.
So the equipment does help with the audit, again, with the speed and so forth.
Yeah, that really helped with that.
Excellent. And again, for those people that might be watching and so forth, the two of you, you're obviously an R, she's a D,
Yeah.
and so forth. So once again, this is done just to demonstrate that our equipment is working the way it should, and that when a voter casts a ballot, the machine accurately recording what the content of that ballot.
Yep.
Very good. All right. We're up to allocations.
Yes, and this is, it's the same kind of report that we've been doing, but I did raise the amount of the freedom votes so that we're putting out, they came in and did our preventive maintenance a couple weeks ago. And actually around the time we had our last meeting, and so almost all the machines are in working order now. There was, I think, maybe 4 freedom votes that still aren't working. One of them, this August election, apparently was dropped or something because it actually cracked or messed up the screens on it. So that one they were not able to fix yet because they needed a new tablet and they didn't have.
It was dropped, but they didn't put anything on the remarks or anything that it was.
They dropped.
Yeah, so I mean, I
No.
saw that they turned it on and, what's that?
Do you know which precinct had it?
I'd have to look at it. I looked before, but now I forgot which one it was, but,
It was dropped before they even tried to turn it on.
I'm not sure if it was dropped on the way back
Okay,
or, I mean, it might have been on the way back, because I don't remember any precincts saying they had one because the screen was wonky, like the way when it would come up. So it might have been dropped on the way back is what I'm kind of wondering.
In other words, our loaders or the unloaders or the people.
Yeah, I mean, accidents do happen, but yeah, I don't know.
but this time we're putting out all of our machines.
Yeah, we're putting out as many as possible.
Yeah, now the Freedom Vote, is that the one that comes with that soft pack?
No, that's the OBO. The
Right.
Freedom Vote is in the blue hard case.
So it ought to take some,
It should be able to
Depends on how
withstand
high they
that.
dropped it from.
well, that's true.
Yeah,
Or was somebody handling it or something?
Yeah, when they were,
Before they put it in the case,
taking it
it
apart.
fell out,
or something.
crashed on the floor.
Yeah,
because it just has the lid that comes off on the
Right.
touchscreens on the Freedom Vote, so. But we have 109 regular of those and 15 ADA ones, so we have 124 altogether. So I kept back, I think it was 3 of the ADA here, so if we need them, for like to go out, as an emergency, like replacement somewhere.
Well, are there enough ADA for all voting locations?
Yes,
All
so
right.
each voting location has at least one, and then I sent 2 to some of the larger places, like the fairgrounds, Belpre, and Warren.
More, okay. All right. Well, that's good.
Okay.
And I did receive a call, this didn't have to do with the machine allocation, I guess, but I did receive a call from the, Belpre schools, and they never sent anything to us, but they said they did pass a resolution that they don't want us voting there anymore, like Warren did. But I never received it, but the person that called and asked me if I saw it in the newspaper, I guess it was in the newspaper, but I had not read the article, but. So just to let
But we've
you know.
notified everybody, right?
Yeah, we sent to everybody, that's why he had called, because he'd gotten that letter, so.
All right.
Who called you?
It was, I think it's their, treasurer person was the one that called.
Well, did you share with them that they needed to notify the principal?
No,
But
well,
we can
that
do
was
that.
Belpre schools that called.
Right.
We can do
Warren
that
West
ourselves,
called.
can't we just see?
No, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
the principal ought to know. And so it's my 2 cents worth that we ought to send out a notice to the principal,
I would send something in writing
you know.
That's what
all
we
the
had,
principals.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, every principal ought to get
I'll have
one
to see.
that we're coming, et cetera. And
Dates
the
to
date we're
expect us.
coming with our
Equipment.
setup crews and when they'll be taken down, so they're,
And if
given
you have
all
any
those
students who wanna
dates.
participate, I mean, we might as well include that in there.
Yeah, I'll just see who the letter was addressed to, I'm not sure who Karen, because Karen had sent them out.
Right.
So she might have addressed it to a principal, and then he was just the one that called, I'm not sure.
Right, well, we just wanna make sure, because I think our experience when we did our trip to Warren,
It was
if
great.
you recall, you know, we sort of had this disconnect, and then we talked to the principal, and he's like, oh, I can open this for you, I can open that, I can move this, it's just gonna be one day, you'll have no problem, et cetera. And it took care of a number of, you know, issues that had come up the first time. And then the only other thing I can say to the staff, if we send out poll books, freedom votes, you know, they're gonna open up everyone, plug everyone in,
So,
and be prepared to man all of those
Yeah.
poll books, et cetera.
And put the students first.
And put the students first.
Yeah.
Young people,
Yes.
certainly have young people, certainly during crunch times and so forth, very comfortably up there, moving people through, okay?
And I did put, with the poll books, we have 60 of those, and I put out 57, so that left us 3 here to have as spares.
If
And it's
That's
nice
fair.
for us to at least have one,
Yes.
because then if a poll worker calls in, we can kind of walk them through.
Right.
Right.
Walk them through it. And then we did 2 OBOs, for each location on here.
Right, so the other thing, while I'm thinking about this, let's, we'll leave it up to you as to how you want to do it, but we want to have all of the equipment gone through. And what I mean by equipment, extension cords, you know, the
Flags.
flags, the side guard, you know, the
Right.
privacy.
Oh, yeah.
In other words,
Which one did not put up privacy? There was somebody who just didn't put
there's
up
someone who
privacy.
never puts
They
up
never put it up.
privacy.
Who is that? Is it Reno?
No, didn't have them.
One of them never puts it up.
I think it is Reno.
Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing it.
And I don't know why.
But in any event, I think we need to go through that, because the thing we don't want is, again, if we're making a trip out there and they go, well, we didn't plug those 3 in, we don't have extension cords, we ran out of cords,
There's no excuse for that.
you know?
If we do things on time.
I mean, I look back there, we've got extension cords, all, you know,
Yeah,
I
we keep
mean,
buying more and more.
we keep buying them and
So I don't know.
can't believe they keep disappearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, these last ones, that Karen bought, that was for 2 extension cords, but it was the really long, heavy duty.
Yeah, they were right.
And where was that?
I don't know which place she took them out to, I can't
That'd be-
remember.
New matter.
No.
Did she only go to New Matter, Newport, didn't she?
She went, it was because we had to use the generator.
Generator.
So it
Oh, I
was
see.
for
Was.
Newport.
Right.
Well, that's
But it
different.
was because of.
But we've acquired those, and if you recall during Warren, we got more extension cords. But yet, when you went back through and looked at the tubs, there are tubs just loaded with extension cord.
So,
And so those need to be,
What we, you know what we don't, what we
Take care.
need to do is maybe this time, we should ask the setup crew or the precinct official, whoever it is, somebody to mark how many extension cords they
right, keep
utilize.
an inventory.
So that we have an inventory, so that when we have the box, oh, this is Warren, they need, X number of extension cords. This is Belpre, they need X number, so in addition to all the other stuff that you keep track of, you keep track of how many extension cords are needed.
Going back to the letter, you say you're going to send a letter to the principal that when we're going to be there?
Well, we've sent a letter already, but I'm not sure if it was sent to the principals, that's what I want to check. So if
I
I
want
want
to send that to the superintendent also, especially in the
You
doctors,
should.
since they passed the resolution.
Yeah, they probably went to the soup, I'm guessing. That would be
Yeah.
that would be your first should always go to the
Right,
superintendent. I'm sure Karen did that. The question is whether she sees
I'll
the
check.
principals.
well, again, my experience with Warren was
Yeah.
when we talked to the principal, he was very pleasant, very understanding.
Right.
Gave us a tour, showed us how he could do this, they could accomplish that. And so, if we're
Yeah, do we
happy
have to
with
vote
this, I'll
this?
need
Do
a
we have to-
motion.
Yes.
I move to accept the distribution of equipment as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passes.
And then, the Safe at Home program, I gave you, we actually didn't have any of these printed out, or we haven't received it yet from the state. But I made some for us to put out, about the Safe at Home program, these same flyers. And we do have 2 participants currently, in our county. And we just had to, resend something to the state, because they provide us with, since this protects people's information, we can't put them in our regular voter registration system, because that would make it public. So they have a flash drive that we use. Well, the flash drive is currently not working. So I've contacted them for us to get a new flash drive to store that information on, but we have paper copies now that we keep. And those paper copies are only seen by the director and deputy director of who those participants are. We're not allowed to share them with any other staff. So we keep those in a safe location. But, so that way, they're guarded. People that are part of the program have to vote through the mail. They can't obviously go in person because then people would know who they are. You have to state your name and address. People would know where they live. Since this is to keep them safe and so that people don't know, they have to vote through the mail.
The 2 people on your list, they usually vote?
They, one of them had tried to actually go vote in person before, and so they ended up not voting because they would have to have revealed, their information, so.
I'm an application assistant. I've helped people do that. I might even get those 2 people.
You might
Yeah.
have, so.
So we have this, what I'll call a flyer.
Mhm.
Okay. Where does this flyer go? Does it go anywhere, or is it just strictly something that would be here?
This could go anywhere, actually.
Yeah, it's an informational, for the voters out there.
Well, I'm
If there is,
wondering
like,
if
would you
there
like
should
the
be some
prosecutor's
at
office?
municipal court,
There should be,
prosecutor, law director,
absolutely. The shelter has these, but
well, I was thinking also.
victim assistance,
Yeah,
all those people.
Clerk's office and common pleas
Yeah, you're right.
and so forth, because there are gonna be cases that'll come out of there.
Yeah.
And it would appear to me that, if we have, absentee voting hours or something,
To put them
with
together.
regard to that, it might be wise to have something that either could slide in if it's during an election. If not, something that would say, contact the board, just because people are gonna read this and may miss, the voting issue and show up at the polls and then be told, well, you have to tell us, well, wait a minute, I'm gonna say, but don't, well, then you need to come to the board. And we go, well, it's too late.
Is this on our website?
It's not, I don't think on our website, it is on the Secretary of State's, that's where I printed it from.
Maybe we could.
Yeah, and I think
You can add a link
like
to it.
We should have a link.
Yeah.
We should have a
We should
link.
have a link on our website, you're right.
Yeah.
But I think,
I'm gonna do that.
OCJS, Office of Criminal Justice, has flyers on this. I'm pretty sure ODVN, Ohio Domestic Violence Network, does too. So,
But I
yeah, we
think-
should check though, Dennis, to make
Yeah.
sure that, that these are out there.
So I can order, usually we can order these kind of things from the Secretary of State's office, so I'll check and see. Because these ones I just printed and folded myself, but,
Well, I mean, if that's an
so these
expense,
should be.
we can send the links and the information where to order them, we'll print them to all these offices.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got his name on it, he's gonna wanna make.
Well, usually any of these things.
He's gonna wanna distribute
If
that.
we order them, we can get them
But
for
we have to
free
pay for them.
usually, so,
Okay.
We don't have to pay for this, do we?
yeah.
If we order, but she's saying we might be able to get them for free from the.
Yeah, from the Secretary. Usually if we order any of these kind of flyers, there's no
Really?
charge,
Those
but
offices.
Right.
I'll check out.
That would be good.
CJS
Yeah.
doesn't have.
Help folks out.
Mhm.
Excellent.
Order for that.
She thinks.
We,
Yeah, we can distribute.
That's true. Except the difference though
You
is
have
the
the budget,
OCJS
wasn't
will not
really
have
an
a
item,
vote,
but you have
which is
it.
what this does.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it just describes the program completely and talks about how you can, keep it safe from, school records. They actually expanded it for real estate. So it talks about the whole, it's the entire program. This focuses on election, which is nice.
You should have a copy of our expense account, otherwise budget, if you will.
Yeah, this was from the end of August.
Right. As you look at things, because we obviously have the election coming up, so we're sort of looking at the unencumbered balance, that I think that's kind of your far right column there and so forth. Our, the poll worker expense one, looks like we're down to 8,000.
Where are you looking? Oh, I see.
Uh,
Yeah, poll worker expenses.
Poll worker expenses.
Has,
And then go to the far right column there.
Oh, yeah, because we had an
money.
extra election. So,
Yeah,
so we did not predict an August election.
Well, when you come
When we came
down
up
to,
the seasonal workers is actually at 0 right now.
right, well, I'm interested in, I'm still trying to find it, right here.
Which one?
Contract services,
Oh,
special election.
Yeah, that one, well, it says it's 0 now because we can only move money into it when we're ready to spend it.
Well, that's my point is, of that 42,501, how much of that are, in essence, are we going to be able to add to the far right column
back.
of unencumbered money?
Right, to get back.
The 42 is what's already been spent.
And that's not,
The
that's,
42,501 is what's
so that's
already been
above and
spent.
beyond what's already here on the poll worker?
Right, that's not included, that doesn't,
The poll worker
yeah, the
expenses
poll
that are
worker
up
has
here,
nothing to do yet with that.
that's beyond the, oh,
Well, because we received, I think it was 55,600 maybe was what we got, or 55,600 was what we got in the grant money for the August election. And so we've spent, out of that, we've spent 42,501
what's MTD mean?
months to date.
Well, so they are listed here, we have 12,000 in month-to-date poll worker expenses.
Right, that's what we've, yeah, but I did not take that out of the grant money yet. That was
So we
paying,
will have some of that back then?
yeah, so we can get some of it back.
All right.
So what do we have left then?
I believe we have,
So if we started with 55,600.
I believe we have about 13,000 left.
Well, is there any
So
reason why we can't move all the 12,000 into?
No, we can.
All right, well, that's what we should do, so
Yeah,
12 and
yeah.
8, we have 20, so we'll be all right.
So we take care of that.
Well, again, I'm just trying to read this thing. So right now, that 13,000 that you're estimating
Mhm.
is not included in any column.
Right,
All right,
All right. So it's,
so it would be,
so I mean, if we take, the 12,000 out, then, then we only have about.
That-
that's
that
what I
should
mean,
be
too.
13.
That should really have 13,000.
right.
Right,
All right. Well, okay.
it's
So-
just the way the auditor has to
Well,
Because that's what
to do it, yeah.
used yet?
yeah, but
I guess.
So we'll move the 12,000 month to date, we'll end up moving into the,
Got the.
well,
It'll add back
poll
into the
worker
special
and
election.
seasonal.
Well, it'll add back into the poll workers.
But also seasonal.
and,
And some.
yes, and so we'll get, so that means we'll get 16,000 back into the poll worker unencumbered balance.
No, we won't get, we only have 13,000 we can get,
Why do we only have 13?
because that's what's left from the grant.
For one
13 is
grant.
what we're spending.
The
Special
55,000 special election.
grant.
But we can ask for more if we spend it.
We can ask, but that doesn't mean.
So but we should, I mean, we
Oh,
should
no, no,
ask.
I'm not opposed to asking, but right now, for our purposes, cash on hand,
Right. for
we've got
13.
13,000 to work with.
Right.
Am I correct that there's nothing there that went out for a piece of equipment or something else that the auditor hasn't put in here?
No, no,
All right,
Well, I mean, I think we should ask to get additional monies to cover the month-to-date poll worker and seasonal workers.
so,
That's about 16 grand.
well,
But we have 13 of that is taken care of.
yeah, so we'd only need about 3,000 more.
where does the,
Now you got me confused. How come it's here twice?
It's not here twice.
where,
All right,
where's
where does it say
the
13?
trucks?
It's not there, but that's where it should
Oh,
be.
the
because
trucks.
that's
They
what's
were,
left.
came out of contract
Okay,
services.
So, but if you look
No,
up
I
here,
had, no, I had.
So we have
them-
we have
they're in the
16,
42,000.
so that gives us-
The 42,000.
For this,
Don't-
this
don't-
last,
Don't add that.
Yeah, for
So
all
I
of
can
them.
pay
what
you
about
12,000
the
out
other
of
ones?
that.
Where
Right.
did where's it come out?
For May,
That
they
we
came
used
out
to
of contract services.
Attach that.
That's what I'm
So
interested
We'll still
in.
need some more.
Where's
for the
contract?
but then what happens is
So you
when we
still
move
have
that to here,
43.9.
that extends, we add it back into
That
there.
43.9, how much of that
So we'll get 13, so we'll have 21.
would you typically
Yes,
expend?
13 and 8.
Yes.
I would say.
So we should ask for all.
That's gonna include our
Or
people
whatever
showing
we-
up.
We should ask for it all,
Worker
whatever we
training.
can get.
Whatever we have
Um,
shortfall on.
Right, for any of those. I say we'll probably use most of that.
But if we have
I mean,
13
it
and
looks
8,
like
that'll
we
be
do
enough.
because we've
The
gone
21,
through,
Well, yeah, we'll have enough.
we'll have enough to do our,
50,000.
yeah,
The rest of the
Right.
3,000, no.
right.
and that's only for 2
We'll be
elections.
able to handle that.
Well, part of that, actually, what is included there was where we sent back grant money from a previous grant from last year. It's the way it got accounted for.
Okay.
So we didn't actually really spend that much money.
The other column number we have to pay attention to is contract services. You see that? It's about, not quite, more than halfway down after travel. And you'll see we have 43.9. And if you look, we've spent 215. And that does not include the August election. That's money that's spent on other elections.
No, we got
But it
7,000.
includes-
How would we have a month-to-date 7,700 in that category? That's gotta be the August election.
Well, I guess I'll ask, is that,
It was, let me see what all was included in. I don't think it was any of these current bills. Let me print off another report.
yeah,
and
because
it'll say
that would
what-
be, I'd be curious to know.
Yeah,
But part of that money also came from yet another grant that was spent, so it's included in there.
Oh,
But we don't have
But
anything
my
left over.
question was,
So what is-
44,000 is what we have to play with on contract services.
and that
So
would
that's
cover-
RBM people
RBM,
showing up,
right.
that's the trucks,
yeah,
et cetera. And so I'm trying to figure out, do we have
Is that
enough?
enough?
Do we have enough in that column as
Right.
well?
right. Well, so let's say
We've used up all of that grant.
Now, another place we may have funds, I was gonna ask, see advertising and printing. Now, printing is going to include, I think, our ballot outlay. In other words, I think, I'd like to go through these because I wanna be in a position, again, if we're gonna be asking for money, I don't wanna be in a situation where they say, well, send us your budget stuff, and then they go, well, wait a minute,
So
we've got
look-
money over here.
as I'm looking at advertising and printing, I don't see how we don't have much fluff in there that I can see.
Well,
I mean, if we spent 13 year to date,
that's for 2 elections.
right, and we have 16 left, so we'll
Well, we should have enough,
have
which
enough.
means
We
we
should have
should have
enough.
some float.
maybe about 5,
Well, there may be some money that,
Maybe
again,
5.
could
we could move around.
be built onto our, go into that 44,000 that we have left for contract services to nudge it up. The other thing is our poll worker expense, we're gonna be talking about that. I'm anticipating this should be a pretty good turnout.
Within the city,
I don't know if it's gonna run to 70% and so forth, but I'm thinking of the statewide issues bringing people out to vote.
well, I mean, what did it do in August? What did we get?
Well,
38?
August, we had 35% versus in August or these small elections where we had 7%.
Mhm.
So we had 5 times the amount of voters. So I'm just saying, I'm thinking could be and I'm just thinking, poll worker wise, again, if we have a big turnout, we have to have enough poll workers to sit at those poll books plus the rest of stuff. Or we're sending in these larger locations.
Well, if we put the, let me see here, contract services, 7. The RMD or whatever they call it, it's gonna be the same whether it's a little election or a big election, right? So the cost that we pay them, it doesn't matter the
Right.
size of the election,
It's the
they're
time
here.
spent here, so.
Right, and then that's gonna be the same.
Yeah,
So to figure out whether or not there's enough here for them, we need to go back and look, what did we pay them for an election?
Yeah,
Is that here?
well, no, no.
Well, so our ballot proofs came, so I'm printing those off too.
Right, so if we know how much RMD charges us,
RBM.
RBM charges us for an election, we can then compare that to here and see whether we're short. What does RBM charge us per election?
I think this, for the August one, I think it was 25,000.
Okay. Oh.
And is that pretty standard?
Yeah,
That's pretty, yeah.
so then we got enough. 43 is sufficient then.
We will use some of that too for, at the end of the year, we always pay Triad their fees for next year. And that's about 19,000. So we will use some of it for that.
We should be
That's all
asking the
of it.
state to pay us that other money, because if they did, we'd have enough here to do that. Cause if you had another $7,000, you'd have 50, which would be enough to pay RBM plus Triad.
But that extra money would still be just to cover
Well,
this.
the August election was
No, no, but
25.
It would replace the money we
So,
spent.
well, at
We
some
spent
point.
$7,000, so
I
we
don't
get
know,
that back.
maybe
We
it's
use that.
easy to do.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you actually
Yeah, no, I
give us the
understand what you're
total
Yeah.
That was used
of
for the special
everything that
election.
Right.
we did?
So we need to-
Is that 42?
Yeah.
The 42, well, this actually shows what was in the 42 here.
Okay,
And what was in the 7,500 that we paid out from the, or, I'm sorry, 7,700 that was in the contract services was 7,500 of that was to Knowing for pole pad maintenance, which is a yearly. And then the rest of it was to Optimum for internet.
Okay. So that's not
Well said.
eligible.
so that's
That's
a
not it.
normal expense
So,
for,
all right, so that's
Yeah.
not it,
Not
okay.
because of the August election.
all right, so August election would have included RDM services,
Yeah, so it included.
trucks, seasonal, poll workers, overtime.
Printing.
It did not include any overtime yet. It included from RBM, we had ballots and ballot stock
How much?
in their fees, which actually ended up being 19,000, so it was less than what I said.
All right,
But 19,558.
But that's already been paid. by-
Yeah, let's look at what the month to date, which is not already in the 40, 42, whatever. And what of this can we move over or ask the state to repay us?
the 7731.
That.
No, we can't do that.
That.
But I think we could on the poll workers,
The poll workers or the seasonal workers.
there's a 12-1 and the
There's some money
seasonal
for that.
42.
Okay, but we already have 13 that will cover.
Part of that.
So that's
right?
16, so we get 13
So we're
back,
a little short by about 3.
right? And
Anything
then-
else?
I guess that's it. If that other is not it.
Who prepared this report, the auditor?
Yeah, that one comes from the auditor.
So
Really needs
it's
to
25
Learn the
is-
difference between personal and personnel.
And we do have in,
Oh, how much of the employee salaries includes overtime for the August?
we're not paid any overtime, so
Oh,
it
you're not?
doesn't include
Okay,
anything
all right.
currently.
then never mind.
Yeah. Now, if we wanted to, if you wanted, because we get it as comp time.
Oh, okay.
Can we do for that? I mean, it's still,
So that's something, yeah, that's your check.
Money you gotta pay.
I
yeah,
mean, eventually you'll be paying it out.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Well,
but it's gonna come out, any of the overtime
Mhm,
goes into our comp time,
mhm.
but it doesn't get paid out until the person
Takes it.
either takes it or
Retires,
Yeah.
leaves, yeah.
Right.
So it's not a,
And so it's
Current
not going to
expense.
be paid out of that money that went to this election. If we, on the other hand, declared that we were going to pay
Maybe we should do that.
overtime for this election, et cetera, and not give it as comp time,
Right, yeah, that's paying.
then we could use that money
Why don't
and
we do
spend
that?
it that's associated with the election and not ask the county to fork the money out at a later date.
Why
can we do that?
So that's what I can check and see.
Yeah, I'd like you to check because.
I'd like
I
to
mean,
do
it's
that.
an approved,
I'm sure,
expense, so.
I mean,
we can
I
ask
don't
for-
think, I would think
It's
this,
approved in the agreement.
and when you look at your comp time numbers and flex time, it's
Yeah, we
not
should
like
have
you're
a copy
gonna,
of
it's
that.
not like we're gonna drain you out of all of that. I mean, it's not gonna be that huge a chunk,
Right,
but it is gonna be a check that will inure to everybody's benefit as,
Right.
you know, et
I'm sure
cetera.
no one would,
Be heard
would have
to
a problem
complain.
with that, yes.
About training, Is that training specific to the special election?
That one is, training that's just for us. It's like if we go to conference.
Oh, the conference
okay.
time.
Or anything, yeah, it doesn't have to do with poll worker training or anything.
Well, that'd be nice to be able, if we could convert comp time to pay and a half, I'm sure people wouldn't mind.
Getting an
money.
extra check. Now we do have in the equipment, there's 24,000 in that we still have the equipment line item there. And that can be used for, if you want to use it towards poll books or,
Well, I was going to say, because the poll books, we know that we're going to get a
Grant for.
partial grant payment for it.
Yeah, we should.
well, and No Ink did tell me that today, if we wanted new poll books for the November election, today is the last day
Right,
that we could, get a hold of them to order them.
and
Today is the last day?
If we want them for November. Now, if we just want them for next year, then today's not the last day for
Now,
them.
the grant money that we has been made available to us, when does that expire?
I think it was July next year.
Oh, okay,
But
so
we
we
have
don't
to-
have to order it this year.
No, we don't have to.
And what would be our share?
It would cover, I think, up to 85%.
And what is
of the
the-
bill.
Right, it
And-
would either, it's confusing to me the way it's worded. It would either be up to 85% or up to the number of registered voters we had
Oh, that's right.
last year.
Remember that.
So I'm
But
not sure
we had the
which,
number assigned to
Yeah, I
that.
thought-
Our
Is
share
that
was
a
like
dollar a voter?
70,000 or-
I'm not sure, yeah, I didn't specifically say, so it's.
And what is the proposed?
We had it, we talked about this in the last meeting.
I thought we
Yeah,
had to, but I
this
don't
was our,
That we pegged to
our
what our share
estimate.
would be.
or our one estimate, that one, was that the one that's 40? I don't know
40,500,
if I made you guys a copy.
but that didn't include,
That's not the poll books.
that
That's
didn't
the-
include
That's
the,
just a case of
that was everything but the,
Here's the other.
there we go. Now we're cooking.
Yeah, this is
And this is
the
both
one
combined?
with the poll books added, and then that's without.
Yeah, we've already
Okay,
seen the
yeah.
45. Here it is, 58.5.
And then we.
So if we do an 85% times that, uh, 60, 10%.
Have a copy of that.
That's 9,000.
But I'm not sure if we get
I
the
think we-
full 85% or if we get up to how many registered voters we had.
Numbers was.
Yeah, because I think that went off of July.
Well, then we
numbers of
will have money then.
22.
So you're saying potentially we're gonna get 40,000.
87. So they're gonna give us 40.
Potentially.
But, no, wait a minute, so 40, that's
That leaves
87.
18.
Right.
That leaves 18.
But we do have to pay for the full amount up front, and then we get reimbursed. Is the way the,
So we really have to talk with the commissioner.
right, which I do have, there's an agreement that we have to sign, to even to get the
Well,
anybody back.
Out of the
So I do
20,
have that
at
in the
any
commissioner's
rate,
office now.
we have 24, so we can afford that.
In that equipment line, I
Yes,
we had the 24.
yes. Well, is there a
But we
reason?
gotta come up with 58.
Well, here's,
Up front, yeah.
my 2 cents worth in a way is, I think our poll books are gonna get us through this November election.
Oh, I'm sure they
Yeah,
will.
was it the big one?
So maybe it would be wise to take this up,
After the election? Is
well,
there anything here that
add-
we have to have
add-
now?
you know,
No,
We should have?
in our November meetings, take it up to, because by then we'll also
We'll
be
know what the
talking
other
about our
expenses are.
budget with the
Right.
commissioners. And we can see how they're feeling about, the first outlay. And maybe we can find out for sure, are we getting
Right.
40
Yeah.
or are we getting 85%?
Right,
What are,
right.
what's our number?
What is it?
Because Knowings told us what the amount is. We need to know how much you're gonna get so we can tell the
How long
county
is this quote good
commissioners how
for?
much we're spending.
He didn't say how long the quote would be I would say at least till the end of the year, probably
All
not
right.
past that.
We'll make sure that we know. I wanna know,
Yeah.
we wanna know, we wanna have a deadline on this so we know.
And I did ask him for our current pulpit, the iPads we have now, is our current ones, trade-in value is $25 a piece.
Oh, well, heck, okay.
Sounds good.
So,
At least they'll take it as a trade-in. They didn't do the other ones.
Yeah, we can get rid of it.
which they said, that's just for the tablet, not the whole case or anything,
We still
so,
have to get rid of it.
yeah.
Then they'll sell them to someone in Idaho.
But anyway, so that's,
Well, if we don't have to have this for this
yeah,
election,
we would not.
for any of this, then I suppose we could
Table
wait.
until we
Because it looks like
find out how much
our
we would actually
our-
get.
Yes,
whole pads are ready to go.
right.
Yeah, they're good.
They're healthy. Yeah.
Because we just updated the software on them to the newest Apple software that Knowing was requiring. Well, then a new software came out, so the state's kind of working with them, so we may have to update that again, the software, but.
That's most
But they're-
likely, yeah, it's gonna be after the election.
Well, I'm not sure, because this was kind of an emergency update from Apple, so we may have to do it before the election.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I
But I mean,
saw-
But again,
I saw
it's
that
just an
email about
update.
that.
Yeah, it's just,
Some email.
I mean, it's not.
There was some email about Apple,
Mhm.
an Apple fix, is that what you're
Yeah,
talking about?
Yeah, which I updated my own phone from that.
Okay, so you're gonna find out about comp time, paying that out.
Yeah,
Right
that we
away.
can, and see if we can get any extra money for the August,
Okay,
so.
I mean, we clearly want more, I mean, we know for a fact that we've got at least another, there's about $3 or $4 grand that's not incorporated.
Right,
amount.
let's think
So
about it, yeah.
we're gonna have more than that, what?
And you do have a copy there of what comp time and,
Yes.
sick time and stuff we have.
Approximately how many hours of comp time you think it'd be that we're talking about?
Maybe around 60 hours.
Total
Yeah,
for all of you?
not for all of us, possibly a piece.
60 hours apiece?
Yeah, well, especially for Melissa and Emily, because those are at time and a half.
Right.
They get theirs at time and a half, me and Karen's would be a little less, because we don't get the time, and we just get time, not time and a half.
Well, it's gonna be a nice chunk of money.
Well, it is, and if we can utilize it, let's
Yeah.
Yeah,
do it. Because otherwise, these numbers, I was looking at them, I think Charlie and I were chatting. It's gonna be hard to take them down otherwise, because we're now into a new election cycle. So it's not an issue of we can have a lot of folks off.
right. And right now, Karen and Emily are both on vacation. Karen and Emily,
So Emily will have stuff left over.
yeah, so this
Karen may
doesn't
not.
include, right, Karen.
Well, actually, so Karen will be able to, we'll know the amount for that.
So, well, this includes, what she has there includes, so she might not get paid out because she's using, her time. She'll be using some of her.
No, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, but the expense that we're paying her for the comp time, we can include,
So, yeah,
right? I mean, that'll be whatever
yeah,
that
that could be
is.
included.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is there any other business? I suppose we should look at our calendars real quick.
Yeah, the next meeting, the second Wednesday of October is the 11th. So if that would work for everyone.
Okay, let me see.
I'll be out of town, but available on the 10th.
I could do either, I don't care.
What's that?
But in
The 10th or
voting,
the 11th of October.
voting does start October 11th, so if you have it on the 10th, then that'll be before voting begins, so we can just have it in here
I don't know
instead
that
of,
matters, but yeah,
just
that's
do it
fine.
in here.
yeah,
We can do it
instead
here.
of going into like the.
So you wanna do it there?
10 good?
Do it on the 10th? I'm good with that.
All right, we'll make it 10.
So October 10th, still at 8:30?
Yeah.
That's the, I mean, it doesn't interfere, but that's also the voter registration deadline.
And we may be,
Okay.
well, we'll have to see where we're gonna set up shop, right? See if you can get the emergency, because this will be,
Well, we can still go ahead and
Set
use this room, because we'll set it up that day. So
Oh,
we'll
you
just
will?
set it up later
Okay,
that
so
day.
then we'll
So we
be
can still
good.
do it.
okay, well, I didn't want to crunch you if you needed more time to set up.
No, so we'll be okay.
Okay. So there was nothing else along that line.
No,
I
nothing
think
else.
at this point, we need to go, I need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make the
Discuss
motion, go
personnel
to executive session at 9:45 for personnel matters.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor,
Aye.
opposed, passes.
Turn off.